Welcome to this very high quality The Witcher analysis. The footage that you are viewing on your screen is largely irrelevant to this in-depth and high quality analysis and look into The Witcher. Now, you might not be aware of this, but The Witcher is a series of books written by the Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski. It has also been adapted to comics, as in comic books, leaflets or very thin books, not even thinner than a paperback book, with pictures in them. Rather than a lot of words, you get pictures with words on them. Sometimes pictures without words. That's a comic book, in case you were unaware of what a comic book is. You may be, after all, you're on the internet. And other than that, comic books and a TV series, it's also been adapted to video games, another TV series, and webcomics, and adapted to more books. And with that I mean that the author, Andrzej Sapkowski, wrote one more book after he was actually done with the entire series of books, because people wanted more Witcher, because the video games had somehow managed to make the books more popular, because more people were getting exposed to them internationally, which meant that more people were thrilled about the books. Some people are also not so thrilled about the books, despite knowing what The Witcher is, or having played the video games. Now, I don't think anyone's gotten introduced to The Witcher through the comic books or the TV series, but The Witcher was a big hit in Poland in the 90s and early 2000s, I suppose, and globally from the 2010s and onwards, really, with the first video game coming out in 2007, I think. The Witcher. Well, this is not giving me any proper answer quickly, because the upcoming TV series is just being called The Witcher. Now, the upcoming TV series is made in English or made in American, depending on how you look at it. They've got English actors, but I think the writers and so on are American, but I don't know. I do, however, know that the old TV series, the one from the 90s, about The Witcher, or rather, The Witcher as a TV series, considering it was adapting the already written material from the books into a TV series. It is known, or rather infamous actually, for being low quality, low budget, and being Polish. But then again, you could say the same about the books. But I think you now are aware of what The Witcher is. And the books are great books, if I do say so myself. They are about all kinds of great themes that are always great to read about. They're also about having fun while reading. And with that I mean that the books are humorous. The first two especially are quite humorous, the short story collections, because even just the wording itself at times will be humorous, and if not that, then the actions or the dialogue will be kinda sassy and kinda funny. And to give you an example of this, I will take a book, The Last Wish, the very first book in the series, meaning the first short story collection. Let's give the book a good whiff. Smells like book. If your book does not smell like book, I think you might have been scammed. But let's open up a random spot, then you can get some of The Witcher. There was sand on his lips. When he tried to spit it out, he realized he was lying face down on the ground, and he was tied up. He raised his head a little and heard voices. Now that was an excerpt from The Last Wish. I don't know what short story it was from, but it was definitely from the short story collection of The Last Wish. And as you could hear, it was a book. There wasn't really anything humorous in it, but it was also in the middle of everything, so there was no setup. What you have heard might have been the punchline actually, but we will never know unless we open up the entire actual book and read it from cover to cover, as they say. But the books also deal with very, very adult themes such as sex, violence, and consent. And sex and consent are usually two things that you'd like to have at the same time. You'd like to have consensual sex. Consensual violence? Maybe. I won't judge you if you perform consensual violence. After all, if there's consent, it has to be okay. But there is one certain thing about the books that a lot of people have gotten at each other's throats about over the years on the internet. Maybe also outside of the internet. I have not asked anyone outside of the internet about this. I have not found anyone to discuss Polish books from the 90s, where I live. Maybe that will change one day, maybe it won't, but that one thing that a lot of people can't come to an agreement about is the fact that there is one point in the books where a 15 or so year old girl gets raped by another 15 or so year old girl. Maybe the girl who rapes the first girl is older than the first girl. I can't really exactly remember. But some people believe that the rape was consensual, because the girl who was getting raped felt the physical sensations of enjoying the rape. But then again, put yourself in this situation. I'm going to assume that you, dear viewer/listener, are male, that you are indeed in possession of a penis between your legs, and that penis is attached to your body and is not entering you from an outside source. If you are a man who has penises enter you from outside sources, I won't judge you. That's your life, and all the power to you. If you enjoy penises, you do you. I am just here to talk about The Witcher. But yes, imagine this for a second. You're just standing about, some man or woman, a person of nondescript gender maybe, comes up to you, pulls down your trousers and pants, and starts sucking you off or giving you a hand job. This makes your penis erect, and then suddenly you are feeling sexual pleasure, even though you did not consent to being given this hand or blowjob. Hand or blowjob. You did not consent to it, yet your body is still feeling the physical sensations of pleasure from it because you are being sexually stimulated by another person. You could also sexually stimulate yourself. You would probably consent to that though, because you are doing it to you. There is some implicit consent there because you are doing something to yourself, but then again, alcoholism is you doing something to yourself, and you might not actually want to keep drinking. So potentially, you might be masturbating without your own consent. Give that a good old think. But yes, some people believe that because the girl getting raped feels the physical sensations of sexual pleasure, she is consenting to getting raped. If you believe that someone is consenting to your sexual advances purely because they are feeling the physical sensations of it, you should go see someone. Tell someone, a family member, a friend, a random person on the street, the situation you find yourself in of believing that because she feels the physical sensations of sexual pleasure, she is consenting. Of course, sometimes the consent is implicit, and you will just have to assume that the consent is there because gender roles still are a thing somehow, even though we are in an enlightened era of time or something along those lines. But yes, The Witcher deals with all these adult themes such as sex, violence, consent, politics. And the thing about politics is that in The Witcher there's a lot of politics, and most of the time Andrzej Sapkowski is just letting you have a big ol' think on it and making fun of everyone involved, mainly those people who are very, very political. So if you are very, very political, you might not like the books. You might not like the games either. However, I have encountered people who are really, really political, who somehow like the games and believe that those games, the Witcher games, are not political. I suppose you could say it about the third game, because the third game discards everything that makes The Witcher The Witcher, and it's an open world role-playing game. Or rather, it's an open world RPG, because RPG at this point in time does not necessarily mean that the game is about role-playing. The game might, for all intents and purposes, just have stats that you can level up, or abilities that you can unlock and learn. But yes, the third Witcher game discards a lot of things that makes The Witcher The Witcher, such as, for example, the sense of humour. It is still kind of there, but it is not there to the same extent as it is in the books or the first game. The second game was the slow decline, really, of CD Projekt Red's actual want to make Witcher or The Witcher games. The first The Witcher game, called The Witcher, is a love letter to the books, and anyone who likes the books will like the game. And if you like the game, you will most certainly like the books as well, as long as you know how to read. Now, the second game, they wanted to do something of their own, a new thing that they made in 2011, meaning it had all of the gameplay tropes and so on of 2011. And those gameplay things are objectively bad, we have now realized, in 2019, soon to be 2020, because time keeps passing us by. And time just happens to flow and we can't do anything about it. That's also a thing in The Witcher, really. Things happen and time just keeps going. And sometimes you do something great, sometimes you do something bad. Sometimes you don't do anything. All three choices lead to something. And that's just the nature of the world and the universe. And everything in between those two states. But yes, the second Witcher game, The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings, also abandons a few of the things that makes The Witcher The Witcher. It keeps the world and wants to explore the world, but doing it in a new way that has not been done in that world before. However, the problem then is that it is not really following what makes The Witcher The Witcher, and The Witcher 3 was mass marketed to the widest possible audience, people who play video games, also known as gamers. And gamers are, to be frank, known for being opinionated, and usually, I'm not saying this about you, dear viewer/listener, in case you are a gamer, you may not necessarily fit these criteria, but I have experienced and noticed a trend among gamers, where a lot of them aren't all that smart, and they would like to never read books or do anything but play video games, because they like their video games. And you can like video games. I am not saying that you should stop liking video games. Like whatever you want to like, as long as it is not detrimental to the health of anyone else or you. If it's detrimental to your own health, I would ask you to consider maybe stopping it. So if you're playing video games 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you are probably dead at this point. But if you're just starting out and thinking, from now on I will only play video games 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then I urge you to reconsider and at least eat and sleep as well. Because then you remain alive, and then you might at some point realize that doing nothing but playing video games until you die is not necessarily what you want to do with your life and your time. But now The Witcher has also been adapted to comic books, which I have not read because they only exist in Polish, and then there are the webcomics that exist in English or American. But I have not read those either because those are based on the video games, or mainly the third game if I recall correctly, meaning they are very far detached from the actual The Witcher. I hope this very in-depth and high-quality analysis of The Witcher has been of use to you, dear viewer/listener. And should you ever need to rehear all of these amazing points All you gotta do is restart the video or put it on repeat, and then you can have my voice fed into your ears or through your speaker or your phone or any other way that you are listening to and watching this video. You can have that just keep on going. And that's a phenomenal thing with today's technology, that you can watch these high quality videos like this one here that you are watching or listening to right now. You can watch and listen to them all the time. You might want to give this a listen as you're falling asleep. It could be a good sleep aid. I hear that some people like to listen to people talk as they fall asleep because they find it relaxing. And I hear that others don't like to do such a thing. So if you like to do such a thing, dear viewer/listener, you can put this here video on and then go to sleep and fall asleep to being informed with high quality information and in-depth analysis of The Witcher. And then you will wake up knowing more about The Witcher than you did when you went to sleep. See, that's a bargain that you won't find anywhere else. Such a high quality video with an in-depth analysis of The Witcher.